Y'all really want to know what they're doing in Antarctica and about the firmament and everything? They're mining sky ice. Stick around, you're going to want to hear this. I'm going to post a video after this. It's going to explain it. I posted it yesterday. This is what's going on. They're mining sky ice. That's why they're in Antarctica. That's the whole deal. The firmament is made of this stuff, and I'm going to explain exactly what sky ice is. They say it's pure oxygen. That's not right. That's not true. There's something more to it. It's going to blow y'all's mind. Follow me for more. Stick around. I'm gonna start dropping stuff that I know. I've got a lot of information on this. I've been hanging on to it to protect my source. Hang around. I'm gonna teach y'all something. Question of the day right here that you don't see very often, for entertainment and educational purposes only. Pure speculation. So very, very few people wonder what that sky ice is made of. And I'm going to tell you, I've got a source. I can't reveal my source. I've got a lot of information, a lot of content on this. And there's been a few times that I've tried to make videos to upload this and it shuts my phone. I swear I'm going to do a video with my wife's phone of me doing this and it shuts my phone down. I'm going to try to make it through it one more time. So I'm wording it differently. I can only put so much information into it because when I get to a certain point every time, it shuts my phone. I've never seen it do anything like that. So water is H2O, 2 molecules of hydrogen, 1 molecule of oxygen. Okay, that's a liquid. When you break it down with a, you can use electrolysis to break it down into its natural forms, which is, hydrogen and oxygen. And hydrogen, they're gas then. So you take 2 gases, put them together, it makes a liquid, okay? Rewind back to the early 90s, Bob Lazar. He talked about how, and everybody thought he was a joke back then, but now that all this stuff's coming out, they're trying to bring it back to the forefront. Oh, what do you know? What do you know? What do you know? So he talked about element 115. It's not on our periodic table. He said that's the fuel that they used in these machines, these UFOs and these craft, the element 115. And, it creates the gravitational wave out in front of you. Just go look him up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I can't go into it because I shut the video down. But anyway, that's what sky ice is made of, oxygen and element 115. That explains, allegedly, opinion only, educational, entertainment purposes. That will give you your answer as to why they're in Antarctica to begin with. Why are they up there? Everybody thinks there's something buried under the ice, or there's, it was originally Atlantis. There's all kinds of theories. Watch Transformers. There's some truth to all these movies. There's a little bit of element of truth in them. But that's why they're mining that stuff. That's what they propel all these vehicles with, free energy and everything. I'm going to give you another little nugget. Elon Musk is see, when you get into these clones and all this stuff where these people, you see these pictures back in the 1800s of Justin Timberlake and Nick Cage and John Travolta, and you got one of from the Facebook dude way back when. See, that they're transferring consciousness from body to body. We're an avatar. You don't have to be a Christian to understand this. You have a body, or you have a spirit and a soul. You are a spirit and a soul, and you live in a body. When you die, anybody that believes there's an afterlife believes your consciousness and stuff goes on. So that should tell you it's possible to transfer your consciousness because that happens at death. You know what I mean? So you're talking about a being that's far advanced beyond what we are. They've been around for thousands of years, and that's what they do, is they transfer their consciousness. That's why those pictures look like they look, because they're transferring their DNA and stuff into these other bodies, and they're just putting it in another womb, being reborn. And then, like that Jennifer Lawrence chick, she's been a star in the past. I mean, that's what the Hollywood whole thing, that's what it's made of. I've got tons and tons of information on this. I've been hanging on to it because I don't need a target on my back. But anyway, that's what, see, I'm going to blow your mind. Elon Musk is Tesla reinvented. That's him, same guy. That's the same guy. Look at what Tesla doing. Look what Elon's doing. And see, Tesla, if you research Tesla, he rebelled on them. See, he bowed down and took the whole thing with the, he done the whole thing that all the, the stars doing everything where they sell their soul and stuff. And he seen what was going on. He's like, oh no, I don't want none of this. And he backed out and they killed him. That's what happened. That's why Einstein gets all the credit for everything Tesla did. And that's why they buried everything Tesla did. Elon is trying to tell you, that's why there's so much back and forth about Elon. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he good? Is he bad? He wears Baphomet, blah, 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 whatever. Well, he's trying to tell you, why would a man spend millions and millions of dollars on rockets and when they just bounce off over and over? He keeps doing the same thing over and over again because he's trying to wake you up. He can't just come out and say it because they'll kill him. He's trying to wake you up. Wake up, people. Hit them comments. Tell me what y'all think about that.
They took cores of it out of boreholes in the ground. Just like normal ice, it was mostly clear and sometimes white, and it would melt into liquid water if it got warm. The whole area of Antarctica is covered in this kind of ice. But that wasn't their main kind of ice. The only time I ever saw them actually studying normal ice was when a film crew from National Geographic came by. The rest of the time, which was most of the time, the scientists were studying something they called sky ice. This stuff was totally different. We were never allowed to go into the laboratory areas of the station because the labs had to be kept super clean, and they said it would mess up their work if they risked letting too many people in the lab. But one time, one of the researchers that I was friends with showed me a piece of sky ice. You couldn't touch the stuff with your bare hands because it was so cold. And it wasn't clear or white like normal ice. It was solid blue. He said that's why they call it sky ice, because it was the exact same color as the sky. We had to wear thick, heavy going outside gloves to handle it. The stuff was so cold, it would instantly freeze your skin if you touched it. I don't remember what the temperature he said it was, but it was something like hundreds of degrees below zero, way colder than the normal ice that was outside. He had to carry it in a metal bottle that was kind of like a thermos. He let me play with the piece of it for a while. It felt lighter than a piece of normal ice of the same size, like it wasn't very heavy at all. It almost felt like you could throw it up in the air and it would just float back down. But I didn't try that. And it was also a little flexible when I tried to bend it. It didn't break like normal ice would. And even for a small piece, you could see through it. It was solid blue right from the surface. And here's the really weird part. It didn't melt into water. When it got warm, because we had it inside, it just started to shrink. It got smaller and smaller, but my glove never got wet. And there was no water on the floor. The stuff just turned into thin air when it got warm and vaporized. He said that was the reason why they had to study the stuff right there in Antarctica. You couldn't take the sky ice back to America to study it because it was almost impossible to keep it cold enough during transit. And then they shared a verse right here which says, "And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it." And then we continue off where it says it would always vaporize into air, and you'd have nothing left when you got back to the U.S., he said. Russian scientists had discovered the same problem when they tried to take the ice back to Russia. So that was why they all had research stations in Antarctica. After maybe 15 minutes of handling the piece of sky ice, it was almost completely gone. Just a tiny little bit was left, and my glove was dry.
We're not dealing at all with anything human. We are dealing with ancient extraterrestrial interactions with this planet going back probably millions of years, and this is another important part. In my own work have been whistleblowers that have been coming from a variety of directions, but the two most significant have been U.S. Navy SEALs. The entire moving Pangaea continent that we know as Antarctica, the 2012 SEAL got there by going in on a submarine, coming out, and said to him it was one of the most astonishing things is that they came out of the submarine into what looked like a molded piece. The other Navy SEAL who was there in 2012, he's the one who came in under on a submarine to this 2-mile deep entrance, and he said that it was astonishing that as they come out, most submarines, if they're that deep, there has to be some sort of a decompression airlock thing. And he said the whole structure, they came in on the submarine, and when they move, the walls move with you with light, that the temperature stays between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit, that they have looked for the energy source. They cannot find anything that has wires. There's nothing that we would recognize, and yet, if it is 33 to 34 million years old, it is still sustaining a structural integrity with pressure. You have light that is moving with you. You have this even temperature. You're looking up at ceilings and there is no structure that is going up. And they are maybe 33 to 34 million years old. What he has seen with his own eyes, 2 miles down under ice, are hieroglyphs, 9-acre rooms, that the very material of which the ceilings are made is neutralizing gravity. That we are dealing with advanced intelligences that know how to take a wall, put in at the atomic level, programming. If this exists, why? What would be any possible reason for why humanity on the surface of this planet should not be told everything there is to know and show about huge architecture deep under the ice of Antarctica? Why?
At the very top of the first structure that we entered, there was almost 18 feet poking from the ice. The rest of it was hidden under the ice. Each door was the same, anywhere from 18 feet thick to around 30 feet thick. And even though these doors were that thick and that heavy, you could take one finger and push them and they would open. There was no resistance whatsoever. The outside temperature was at least 40 degrees below zero. Once you stepped inside these structures, the temperature was an ambient 68 to 72 degrees.
What about the ceilings, hallways, floors?
It was lighted from the inside, but we could not find the source of light. It was a lime green in color. The walls were lined with what I call hieroglyphics, but nothing of hieroglyphics that I've ever seen in my life.
Could there really be mysterious structures buried at the South Pole? Structures built by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization in our remote past.
Buried underneath the ice in Antarctica could well be stone temple constructions. There could be biological material, remains of beings that lived there and could still be there. It could be the greatest reveal in all of human history.
I've never really believed in Jesus or done the whole church thing, but I think I've seen the stuff you guys are talking about here. I just didn't know what it was at the time. I was in the Army from 1997 to 2000, and I was sent to McMurdo Station in Antarctica. I was a helicopter mechanic and crew chief, and they had volunteer tours open for guys to go there and work on the helicopters there. When they asked for volunteers, a bunch of us applied, but only me and one other guy got accepted. The application process had a bunch of questionnaires that we had to fill out, and we had to sit for a bunch of one-on-one interviews. It was mostly just a bunch of questions about what our interests and beliefs were. I was sent to McMurdo Research Station in August of 1998. When we weren't busy de-icing the aircraft and working on them, we had time to hang out with the scientists at the research station. The military unit attached to McMurdo was small, and we didn't have our own separate facilities. We didn't have a PX or a media center. There was no chapel or chaplain, and we didn't have our own separate mailroom. We just had to share the same facilities with the scientists and researchers. So over time I got to be friends with a few of them. They had two different kinds of ice that they worked on and studied. One kind of ice was the normal kind that we've all seen. They took cores of it out of boreholes in the ground. Just like normal ice, it was mostly clear or sometimes white, and it would melt into liquid water if it got warm. The whole area of Antarctica is covered in this kind of ice. But that wasn't their main kind of ice. The only time I ever saw them actually studying normal ice was when a film crew from National Geographic came by. The rest of the time, which was most of the time, the scientists were studying something they called sky ice. This stuff was totally different. We were never allowed to go into the laboratory areas of the station, because the labs had to be kept super clean, and they said it would mess up their work if they risked letting too many people in the lab. But one time, one of the researchers that I was friends with showed me a piece of sky ice. You couldn't touch the stuff with your bare hands because it was so cold. And it wasn't clear or white like normal ice. It was solid blue. He said that's why they call it sky ice, because it was the exact same color as the sky. We had to wear thick, heavy, going outside gloves to handle it. That's why they call it sky ice, because it was the exact same color as the sky. We had to wear thick, heavy, going outside gloves to handle it. The stuff was so cold it would instantly freeze your skin if you touched it. I don't remember what temperature he said it was, but it was something like hundreds of degrees below zero, way colder than the normal ice that was outside. He had to carry it in a metal bottle that was kind of like a thermos. He let me play with a piece of it for a while. It felt lighter than a piece of normal ice of the same size, like it wasn't very heavy at all. It almost felt like you could throw it up in the air and it would just float back down. But I didn't try that, and it was also a little flexible when I tried to bend it. It didn't break like normal ice would. And even for a small piece, you couldn't see through it. It was solid blue, right from the surface. And here's the really weird part. It didn't melt into water. When it got warm, because we had it inside, it just started to shrink. It got smaller and smaller, but my glove never got wet, and there was no water on the floor. The stuff just turned into thin air when it got warm, and vaporized. He said that was the reason why they had to study the stuff right there in Antarctica. You couldn't take sky ice back to America to study it because it was almost impossible to keep it cold enough during transit. It would always vaporize into air, and you'd have nothing left when you got back to the US. He said Russian scientists had discovered the same problem when they tried to take the sky ice back to Russia. So that was why they all had research stations in Antarctica. After maybe 15 minutes of handling the piece of sky ice, it was almost completely gone. Just a tiny bit was left. And my glove was dry the whole time. I'd never seen anything like it before or since. And that's unusual, because I've always had an interest in scientific things. I think that's even why I got selected to go to Antarctica, because a big part of the interview was about science and what I believed about things. So I really thought it was cool to see something I'd never heard of before. The whole time I was at McMurdo, I heard people talk about the wall, like that was a special place. It's pretty common to find ice walls and ice cliffs all over Antarctica. The whole place is ice. But it's all just normal white or clear ice. So I asked my friend where they get the sky ice from, and he said it comes from the wall. So I asked my friend where they get the sky ice from, and he said it comes from the wall. I don't remember exactly how he described it, but apparently there's a huge wall of sky ice in Antarctica. He said it was hundreds of miles inland from the coast. I never got to see it myself because I was only stationed to McMurdo. I didn't get to go out on expeditions. He said it was the biggest natural structure in the world. He said that in the 1960s, the US Army had a plan to bore a tunnel into the wall, but they didn't have a boring machine that could handle super cold temperatures. So they had a whole testing project in Greenland where they developed ice tunnels and invented new boring machines that could operate in super cold temperatures. Like, they did this whole big thing in Greenland just for practice. I'm not an expert on that, but that's just what he told me. Then once they had the new boring machine figured out, they brought it to the wall in Antarctica. He said that the machine bored a tunnel. I don't remember exactly, like 5 or 10 miles into the wall, but that they never broke through the other side of the wall, and that they still don't know how thick the wall is even to this day. And I'm probably not remembering this part correctly, but I think he said that at first, the floor of the tunnel was a solid rock, but after a mile or two in, the floor was sky ice. Like it was sky ice underneath after a certain point, or something like that. And apparently, the wall slowly builds itself back up after you cut it, because after a year or so, the tunnel had shrunk smaller all by itself. They had to leave the boring machine inside the wall because the tunnel shrunk too small to get it back out. And after a few decades, the tunnel was completely gone. Like that part of the wall was solid again. He said that now the scientists were trying to use technology to figure out how thick the wall is. He said something about putting earthquake sensors all along the wall, and that somehow you could measure the signal from an earthquake to see how thick the wall is. But he kind of lost me on that part. I never really thought about any of that after I left. It was really weird stuff, but I didn't think it was a big deal at the time. But then a few weeks ago I saw a map of the wall in Antarctica. Except the map was all flat and crazy looking, and it showed the wall going all the way up to the whole Earth. So since then, I've been trying to learn more about the sky ice that I saw, and the wall that I heard about, but I can't find anything at all. So now I'm really wondering if there could be a connection here, and that's how I found this group. So I hope that maybe some part of my experience will help someone figure something out.
The Simpsons might have predicted that we are living under a dome called the firmament. In one memorable episode, the Simpson family stumbles upon a deep secret related to the firmament, a term often talked about in religious texts like the Bible. The story takes a surprising turn during a baseball game featuring the Simpson family. When Santa Claus throws a baseball to a player, he hits it so hard that it breaks through the seemingly solid layer of the firmament and goes high into the sky. What happens next is really amazing. Water pours down from the sky, like a hidden reservoir above had been opened. Interestingly, the Bible also talks about the firmament. In Genesis 1:6-8, it says, "And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament." What gave me a truly chilling feeling was when I watched the SpaceX launch 2 days ago. What do you think?
Imagine the amazement of the planet when they have found water underwater, and the density of this water is higher, and even a submarine could not go through it. Could this water be the starting point of a world within a world? And that's why the density is different, because the inner Earth's atmosphere is different. Because scientists have found proof of an ocean underneath the Earth's crust.
One of the most amazing things that I had ever seen in the bottom of the ocean, it was while filming for Blue Planet in the Gulf of Mexico. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. We went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend in it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down in it. We literally bounced off, and as we bounced off, we sent ripples heading back to the shoreline. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, it's Orca Bay.
Well, Orca Basin
you
is...
see the other side of it.
Thank you. Well, whatever it is, it's forming a pool, right? So it's denser than seawater. If it was oil, presumably it wouldn't be in a pool. It would be floating up. A brine puddle. Looks like water. We're going to stick our finger in it just to see.
We can do that.
And we should see, you might even see little ripples on it, and you might see kind of layering water as it tries to mix. So we'll go to a brine pool next week. Yeah, you can see the shimmer around the arm. Wow.
When a man reaches the edge, after he goes as far as any man can possibly go, how does his son continue?
What if I told you there's a continent that exists outside the parameters of our sun? A place of eternal night, where an entire civilization lives in absolute darkness. Welcome to Panthea.
Where the hell is that?
Thousands of miles beyond the ice wall. Look, these people aren't cavemen. They're a fully functioning civilization, but one built without warmth, without mercy, without the distractions of color and joy. The Panthean capital, Nixara, is a sprawling city built from black stone and bioluminescent crystal, its buildings towering like jagged monoliths into the sky.
This can't be real, man.
I wish it weren't. The Pantheans themselves are far more terrifying. They're a horrific biological offshoot of humanity, a version of us that evolved to survive in total darkness. Pale-skinned, almost translucent. Their eyes and bone density are about 5 times larger than the average human. Sickest part is they have energy harvesting farms. They survive off their own people.
Good morning, everyone. Here I am at Area 51. Just look at this beauty. It's been here for almost 40 years. Not a secret anymore, thanks to Donald Trump. Let me switch to the front camera. I'll show you this wonder. It's not even metal. Scientists say it's something else, but no one will say what. All right, that's it for today. Stay tuned, because in the next videos, we'll show you who's actually flying these things.
Обратите внимание на реальные кадры с прямого эфира. Именно с этим туристом произошла очень странная история. Парень прилетел отдыхать на остров Крит, и в арендованном доме он случайно обнаружил загадочную шкатулку. Из любопытства турист ее открыл, однако то, что он там нашел, показалось ему очень странным. Он начал искать любую информацию о находке, и, как оказалось, у него в руках был фетский диск, который 90 лет назад обнаружили при раскопках на острове. Это был первый в истории человечества текст, который изготовили еще 1600 лет до нашей эры. Тогда никто так и не смог разгадать таинственные надписи на нем, а после артефакт и вовсе исчез. Посмотрите, как находка странно реагирует на тепло. Она издает синий цвет, а стоит ее намочить, то начинает светиться оранжевым. На прямой трансляции парень показывает, как диск притягивает к зеркалам и создает некий портал. По просьбе зрителей он кидает разные вещи и предметы в зеркало, и они бесследно исчезают. А в конце он решается зайти в зазеркалье и показать всем, что там находится. Это безумное продолжение уже опубликовано в Telegram.
There are no aliens, there's just the civilizations that live beyond the ice wall. See, they want you to believe that there's these alien civilizations out in the depths of outer space that may or may not be coming to get you, but it's just a facade. The reality is that there are simply civilizations beyond what we can observe, beyond the ice wall, right here on planet Earth, but just in regions we have been kept from seeing, kept from knowing about. These civilizations beyond the ice wall, as you could imagine, have technology far beyond what we can fathom, and so when they fly above us in their inconceivably advanced ships, we kind of misconstrue it with the idea of quote-unquote aliens from space, when in reality it's just advanced civilizations from Earth. But of course, the oligarchs want you to be scared and have this fear of the great unknown, and so they peddle this narrative about outer space and alien encounter theories. Whole time all of these other advanced beings are right here on Earth.
This is the only proof we have of time travel, and it's absolutely terrifying. In 1923, archaeologists uncovered a sealed tomb in Egypt. Inside, they found something that defied logic. A photograph dated 1987. It showed a man in modern clothing standing in front of the tomb, holding a camera. The man was identified as Elon Huck, a scientist who vanished in 1987 while working on a top-secret government project called Kronos. The project's goal? To unlock time travel. But it was shut down after Huck disappeared without a trace. The photograph had a chilling message scrawled on the back. I tried to stop it, but the loop is inevitable. Years later, in 1980, another photograph surfaced. This one showed Elon Huck, now decades older, standing in front of the same tomb. The date on the photo? 2025. Experts were stunned. How could a man exist in 3 different timelines? And what did he mean by the loop is inevitable? The final clue was found in Huck's 1987 lab notes. He wrote, "Time isn't linear, it's a loop, and I'm trapped in it." But here's the twist. In 2023, a team of researchers decided to open the tomb again. Inside, they found a camera, the same one from the photographs. When they developed the film, it showed a picture of them, standing in the tomb, dated 2045.
Every conspiracy theory on the planet. Today, we will expose the truth on Dicenian glass. Dicenian glass is a special dye that is derived from coal tar. In 1911, a man by the name of Walter John Kilner developed a device called the Kilner screen. This screen consisted of collodion-coated, dye-treated glass plates with Dicenian dye sandwiched in the middle. In his book, The Human Atmosphere, Kilner proved that by using these 2 glass panes as wearable eyeglasses, the user would be able to train the eyes to perceive electromagnetic radiation outside the normal spectrum of visible light. Kilner not only proved the existence of the human aura, but also proved that by using this special dye you can pierce the tapestry of the 3rd dimension and gaze into the dimensions above. After Kilner published his findings, the United States swiftly stepped in. They confiscated everything and degraded the dye. Not only is Dicenian extremely hard to get a hold of, it is almost completely blacklisted from the internet.
You are looking at patent US 5149407A. This is the patent of the notorious water-fueled car invented by Stanley Meyer in the 80s. During a local news report, Meyer showed a dune buggy that he claimed was powered by his water fuel cells, and according to Stanley, it only required 22 gallons of water to travel from Los Angeles to New York. Stanley's invention used frequency to separate oxygen and hydrogen from water. A mixture of oxygen and hydrogen could replace gasoline. This served as an enormous threat to the giant oil industry as well as the automotive industry. This invention has become a notorious piece of internet lore because shortly after Stanley announced the invention, he suffered a deadly brain aneurysm. Stanley's last words was that he had been poisoned. What do you guys think?
The Black Sun.
Black Sun is rising. Golden ages and dark ages oscillate in and out of this realm. During a golden age, everything harmonizes and everything is in its original paradisal condition. But during a dark age, we experience a loss of this union and create environments which eventually push us back to discover unification once again. The black sun in the dark ages is not visible. It is split away from the white sun, representing our condition of duality, the dissociation of our conscious and subconscious reality, the 2 elements of ourselves which the 2 suns reveal. The black sun, being the processor and conglomeration of our subconscious, is rising right now and will meet the sun at the center very soon. And when this happens, the aurora borealis will fill this entire realm. Because we are microcosms of this macrocosm, the aurora borealis, this emerald green energy, is the green rays of our hearts, which never left the center. Extending outwards, the aurora borealis will fuse with our heart chakras, automatically propelling us to the center. The Rainbow Bridge of Norse cosmology, also known as the Bifrost Bridge, will be created after the heart is opened, bridging our lower chakras with the higher ones. This will let us ascend up the levels of Mount Meru until we achieve unification once again in Asgard. And it all starts with the black sun and white sun coming together. These are the two aspects of ourselves, the Adam and Eve, the night and day, which separate after the so-called fall into this dark age. In my last video, we talked about the projection system from the center and how this has been a collective dream we're experiencing backwards. We're still in the pleroma. The demiurge is an illusory construct that has no relevance once we're in the event horizon. The demiurge is us, and soulless beings are the fractalized expressions of our shadow selves.
wanna go. Get on a roll like a rolling stone. If I can wait, then there will be a little treat in for me.